Hey everyone, welcome back to Installation 00. This is Law and Theory, and today we're taking a look at space elevators. Let's do this. Space elevators are a common construction by the UNSC, both on Earth and her colonies. While Earth has 6 space elevators, many planets within the outer colonies have more, since there is a heavy human reliance on the production and shipment of agricultural and mineral goods from remote worlds. Prior to the Covenant's invasion, the farming colony of Harvest, for example, had 7 elevators linked to the orbital station Tiara, while some mineral-rich worlds such as Reach had as many as 9. During the events of the Human-Covenant War, many of these elevators were damaged, some seriously during combat engagements. Of Earth's 6 elevators, only 4 remained intact after the Battle of Earth. A space elevator is a structure designed to transport and ferry different materials from a planet's surface into space and onto a platform. The base concept of a space elevator consists of a cable attached to the surface on the equator and reaching outwards into space. By positioning it so that the total centrifugal force exceeds the total gravity, either by extending the cable or attaching a counterweight, the elevator stays in place in geosynchronous orbit. Once moved far enough, climbers are accelerated further by the planet's rotation. The space elevators mainly consist of a tether, an extremely resilient cable that spans from the surface to a point beyond geosynchronous orbit. As the planet rotates, the inertia at the end of the tether counteracts gravity and keeps the tether taut. Vehicles can then climb the tether and escape the planet's gravity without the use of rockets. The engineering of such a structure requires an extremely light but extremely strong material. Current estimates requiring a material of around 2 grams per centimetre cubed in density and a tensile strength of approximately 70 gigapascals. Such a structure permits delivery of great quantities of cargo and people to orbit, and costs only a fraction of those associated with conventional means, with very little to no danger. Humans also employ a somewhat similar concept in structures known as skyhooks, platforms suspended in low planetary orbits. Skyhooks are known to be located over Earth and its moon Luna. The space elevator is gigantic, reaching into thousands of kilometers in height. An orbital tether's center of gravity must be above or at the point of geosynchronous orbit above the body it is located on. Because geosynchronous orbit above Earth is quite high, at 35,900 kilometers above the surface, the height of the elevator would be twice the distance from the surface to the point of geosynchronous orbit. This leaves Earth's orbital tethers, because the same rule would apply to them all, an average height of 70,000 kilometers above the planet's surface. Space elevators vary in size and shape, but they are all typically composed of the same raw material. Meshed together as a complex composite of intertwining nanofibers, these ingredients form a series of massive cords and rings several hundred meters wide. They bind to a grounded set of polycrete anchors larger than most buildings, which hold the elevator structure in place while the planet spins on its axis. The zenith of the elevator, commonly known as the orbital or the terminus, is then pulled taut by the planet's rotational inertia, sliding into geosynchronous orbit thousands of kilometers above the planet. The UNSC utilizes several designs of space elevators. Many space elevators, such as the Mombasa tether, consist of a single central tether reaching into space, surrounded by additional strands and massive support rings. The lower part of the tether is surrounded by an additional support frame rising several hundred meters from ground level. The Quinto space tether and Corbulo Academy space tether utilize a similar design. Harvest's high-capacity orbital elevator system, built in the early 26th century, consists of 7 separate strands of carbon nanofiber attached to the orbital station Tiara. A space tether's climber system is often modular, and different types of containers such as regular cargo containers, maintenance cars, and welcome wagons used to transport personnel can be used to move on the elevator strands. In heavy-duty cargo elevator systems such as the Tiara, the cargo containers are also compatible with ground-based maglev trains, and they can be effectively converted into freighters by attaching a propulsion pod to them at the top of the tether. The earliest concepts of space elevators date back to the 19th century. During the second half of the 20th century and the early 21st century, multiple concepts were proposed, but it was not until almost 300 years later when the first space elevator was built. The construction of the first space elevator, the Mombasa tether, began in 2302. The cities with space elevators, tethered cities as they came to be called, are often managed by second-generation dumb AIs. As shown in New Mombasa, space elevators have a significant impact to the importance and economy of the cities they are located in. The cities and their surrounding area, usually full of warehouses to store the massive amounts of cargo transported to and from orbit. As of 2552, Earth had 6 tether cities, each managed with the help of superintendent-class AIs. Since the construction of the Mombasa tether, space elevators have come to fill a number of functions in a variety of locations on Earth's colonies, ranging from transport of industrial or agricultural goods in the colonies to orbital personnel transport in military academies such as the Corbulo Academy of Military Science. Due to the size of these space elevators, the safety of such a structure is an obvious concern. Their relative frail construction makes them an easy target for attacks, and the catastrophic effects of a space elevator's collapse were witnessed multiple times during the Human Covenant War, when many of UNSC space elevators collapsed due to the fighting. Depending on the point in which the tether is severed, the collapse of the space elevator will cause a varying degree of large-scale destruction. The tether itself will not cause any significant damage at all, as its lightweight construction allows for air resistance to negate the effects of gravity. Instead, it will be the support structure that surrounds the tether that causes most of the damage, as evidenced by the wreckage strewn across the Salvo Highway after the collapse of the Mombasa tether. If the orbital counterweight is destroyed, or the tether is cut near the top, the whole cable will fall, usually wrapping itself around the planet. A space elevator would be able to wrap itself around Earth at least 2 times. This happened to Harvest's elevator system when Loki destroyed the Tiara station with a mass driver. The Centennial orbital elevator on Earth also collapsed due to the destruction of Station Wayward Rest on top of it. If the tether is cut halfway up, the upper portion will rise up and remain in orbit, while the lower part will drape around the planet. The same will occur if the tether breaks quarter of the way up. In the case the break occurs at or near the anchor point on the planet's surface, the whole tether will rise up and end up in an unstable orbit around the planet. The new Mombasa orbital elevator was cut several hundred meters above the ground anchor due to the damage caused to it by a slip-space rupture backlash. Similarly, the space elevator of Corbulo Military Academy was severed near the anchor by a Covenant corvette's pulse laser. Due to the safety concerns, tether cities are almost always designed with a possibility of a catastrophe in mind. The cities are often compartmentalized into multiple symmetrical sections to minimize the death toll and property damage in case anything were to happen to the elevator. Irrespective of these risks, the sight of a space elevator rising from the surface of a planet high into the atmosphere has never failed to inspire awe in human ingenuity. Thanks for watching. Stick your comments down below. I look forward to what you have to say. I want to give a quick shout out to my patrons, so Tenchi, the silent cartographer, Brian, Sebastian, Defiant Alpha 117, Nathan, Red Sea and Darian, the holders of the mantle, Ty, Black Biscuit, J Rabbit, Austin, Kaiser and Silux, my reclaimers, Zach, Deep Cover, Verbal Statue, Spesigo, Spartan A498, Guppy, Josh, Mickey, Bastian and Mulshar, my Metarchs, and all the other patrons that have jumped aboard to support the channel. You guys are awesome and all of this wouldn't be possible without you. If you like Halo lore discussed to insane levels of detail, hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon so you're told the second a new video hits the shelves. Be sure to support us on all major social media channels including Discord, and if you really love the channel, consider heading over to Patreon and supporting the channel over there. It would mean the world to me and would free up more of my time for me to put into this content and other Halo related goodness. Take it easy everyone, and find peace in the domain.